Probably the better word to use would be blackmail. It became a new term, like sextortion, because usually it involves images or videos or other artifacts that have something to do with sexual content.
First of all, you experience fear because once the hacker gets the content from you, the first thing he will do would be to blackmail you, and you will be afraid.
Build a friendship relationship, and you would think, looking at the way it unfolds, that they target kids from broken homes.
He has enough material, psychological material, to manipulate that person into doing whatever he wants.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Cybercrime from the Frontline. My name is Bruce Sussman. I'll be your host, and we're talking about an incredibly important topic today that is a little uncomfortable to talk about, but very necessary to discuss. And it's sextortion and the way our kids are being targeted right now. And with me in the Bitdefender studios, we have three experts who've been studying this, very experienced in this topic, know about the ramifications and what we can all do to help protect our kids, or what to do if our kids get caught up in a scenario like this. So welcome to the Bitdefender studios, and I'm hoping you will each introduce yourself and give us an idea of your background. And Cristina, let's start with you, please.
Sure, thank you so much for having me, Bruce. My name is Cristina Serban, and I'm Director of Product Marketing in Bitdefender. My focus area are the families and how we can protect them and their loved ones in the digital world.
Okay, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm Ioana Bistriceanu. I'm a product manager in Bitdefender, and I'm here to tell you how it all starts out.
Okay, excellent. Catalin?
Hello everybody, Catalin Cosoi, Chief Security Strategist for Bitdefender. I've been with the company for the past 21 years. Did many things throughout the 2 decades. And today I'm here because of my skill sets on this particular topic, but also as a parent.
Yeah, and a lot of us are parents, and this is going to hit home for sure. I think the first thing we should do on a topic like this, we hear this term sextortion. I think most people are familiar that it exists, but maybe aren't exactly sure what is it. So how are we defining it or thinking about it?
Probably the better word to use would be blackmail. I think we can easier relate to that, the word blackmail. And the idea is that it became a new term, like sextortion, because usually it involves images or videos or other artifacts that have something to do with sexual content. It has many shapes and forms. It can come in threats that involve actual images or actual videos, but it can also come in AI content that's being generated, which is fake. And it can also come into shapes like threats that aren't necessarily real. The content does not exist, but the emotional background is still there and still provides a lot of stress to the victim. And at the end of the day, it involves either financial gain, in some cases, very few cases, but in general is to threaten to make the person do things that normally wouldn't, or to just, I can't really find the word, just destroy the person.
Right, yeah, very difficult. Ioana, how do you think of this type of crime?
I think the people who perpetrate, the perpetrators of this crime, can be split into two categories. You have, on the one hand, a person that acts out of revenge because they got their heart broken and have some explicit pictures of their former partner, so they decide to post them online in a form of revenge. And you also have the industry part of it. There are groups of, for lack of a better term, organized crime that use different methods and different approaches to entrance people, teenagers even, and trick them into sending out explicit images of themselves. They they act differently based on their victim's gender. So for females, they usually focus on extracting explicit pictures, whereas for males, they focus on blackmail.
Interesting.
There's a number of groups. The most known one is the Yahoo Boys.
And let's explore more about them.
They come from African countries, and their day job is to add people on various social networks. They target teenagers through online gaming platforms. They lure them in to start a private conversation. And in that private conversation, they start building trust. They start sharing images of themselves. And then it slowly escalates to the point where the teenager feeds explicit images. And then the blackmail part that Catalin was mentioning starts.
Okay, well, let's come back to that in a minute. That is really, it's disturbing. It's also important for us to understand the mechanics of those attacks. So thank you both for that. And Cristina, I want to know from you, what's something you want to emphasize as we begin this discussion on this topic?
Sure. I would like to say that for me, this topic really relates to a personal level. And I'm speaking today not necessarily at the cybersecurity practitioner, but more as a parent and working in this industry and seeing so many cases of parents and kids falling victims to such a huge industry and such perpetrators. It's incredibly impactful, and I would like to try to convey and help parents globally kind of understand the dimension, and of course give them some tips on what they could do in such situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting as you're even discussing this topic. I feel like most of us who are parents are assuming this will not happen to us or to our kids. Catalin, can you share a little bit about this false sense of security? I guess we could call it that obviously there's a lot of victims of this. It is kind of a false sense of security, right? It
is indeed. And parents do not really know what happens when the kid goes to school and when it returns. And I have many friends that told me that once the kid, whether a small child or a teenager already, once they got their first smartphone, they already switched to a different world. They don't really interact anymore as they used to. And yeah, it doesn't mean that if your child has a smartphone, that doesn't mean it's going to be sextorted, obviously. But it will start interacting with other parts of the internet that normally wouldn't be okay to do it. And it's a matter of chance, and it's a matter of just luck whether this will happen or not. In many cases, your child will start interacting with people, whether it's online gaming platforms or social media or WhatsApp groups or whatever. And depending on his peers, his friends, this can become quite okay, or peer pressure or a normalization of particular things that happen, like sending different types of images and so on. If it falls into this trap to believe that these things are normal, it will be much easier to fall for them. If it has, I wouldn't say a prior education, because that's really hard to control, but to have some idea of what can happen and staying alert, that can help. But in many cases, it's just a pure luck.
Yeah, okay. Well, I do have more questions about what we can do to help reduce the risk coming up, because that's an important part of this conversation. Cristina, I want to go to you for a minute and talk about the emotions of an attack like this, like the one that Ioana was describing. What is it like?
Sure. So when we talk about sextortion, the perpetrators, the strangers that actually our kids hang out in the digital world, they thrive on a couple of very strong emotions. they thrive on fear, on guilt, and on shame. So let's take a step back and think about our kids. They're really, really innocent and wonderful creatures that you, as a parent, have this natural instinct of protecting. So keeping them, for example, in-house, you feel they are in a safe space. And you would never let your kids hang out with strangers, like in the park or anywhere else. But actually, when they go online, they do hang out with strangers a lot. And the bad guys, the perpetrators that are actually manipulating, blackmailing our children, they thrive on these three very, very powerful emotions, because kids, they're very instinctual. They don't really think about things too much, but they react to this kind of, threats, blackmailing. Like they tell them, we could take this and post it to your school community, and everyone will see this. We will go and tell your parents that you've been doing this and that. So they keep them trapped under this very powerful emotions.
And then what is it like? I mean, do you think that they're experiencing shame? Is it fear? Is it guilt? Like, what kind of emotions would a teenager, for example, be going through in this scenario?
I think it's a combination of them all. Like, first of all, you experience fear, because once the hacker gets the content from you, the first thing he will do would be to blackmail you, and you will be afraid. The second thing would be to feel guilt, and try to kind of blame yourself. Oh my God, what have I done? I didn't picture it will look like this. For me, as a child, it might be somehow funny or normal to take pictures. I didn't see as a child all these steps coming up, and then kind of the shame. So I think, with kids, this is something as a parent we need to be very much aware. And whenever we find out and we try to intervene, and I'm sure we'll deep dive into that, we need to be aware of these very, very powerful emotions that our children are feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is it's a heinous crime, but then we have these really complicated and difficult emotions that, I mean, they leverage at the beginning to get the crime underway, but then once the victim realizes they're a victim, it's a whole new set of emotions that emerge. I think it's really helpful for parents to talk about how these attacks unfold, how they can even start, because my experience with teenagers, and I have a couple of them myself, generally they're good kids. They're not doing unusual things on the internet. They're certainly not looking for things like this. I think we could apply that to the vast majority of teenagers in the world. But Ioana, walk us through, how does this happen? How do the perpetrators find our kids?
It could be on social networks like Instagram, X, Facebook. I'm not sure if teenagers use Facebook, rather Snapchat than Facebook.
But a lot of whatever the social platform is, right?
In various games where they have this open mic. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but you can interact live with the people you play the game with. And from that point, it could be as easy as, let's move this conversation to a quieter room, because there's a lot of background noise, everyone's talking to each other. Or let's move this conversation on Snapchat or on Discord, because I want to have a private conversation with you. And from that point on, it's just your run-of-the-mill trust-building scam way of operating.
So it's almost like they're trying to be friends with our kids?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a key part in how it all starts out.
Okay.
Build a friendship relationship. And you would think, looking at the way it unfolds, that they target kids from broken homes. But that's not true. They target everyone. And sometimes it might be a kid from a broken home who falls victim to this, and other times it might be a kid from a two-parent home where the kid is supported and where there are no issues.
So this is interesting. So that's how it starts. And then Catalin, how does it escalate? Because, you know, now I'm a teenager, I'm having a conversation with somebody who seems pretty cool, right? That I've met on the internet. How does it get to the point that we're talking about here, the blackmail, and how does that all go down?
I think the next level that's a continuation of what Ioana was saying is that the person that's interacting with you will start sharing stuff about his own personal life, maybe images, content, whatever. And it's carefully grooming you into doing the same thing, right? The images that he's sharing to you aren't necessarily real, obviously. But he's trying to normalize the situation, like I'm doing it, my friend is doing it, so why don't you do it too? Don't you trust me? I'm putting my things on the line here, so why don't you do the same? Show me you trust me, show me you care. And as soon as the person being targeted also starts to share stuff, it's going to be encouraged, like, oh, this is so cool, so nice, you look beautiful, and so on, to share more. And there's a point where the person, the attacker, the groomer, decides that's okay, he shared enough, now I have enough materials, and then he can go to the next level. If you don't share more, I will publish what I have so already. I will talk to the parents, I will talk to the kids at school, I will share this with the teachers, with, I don't know, and so on. Making him giving more and more. And from there, he can do whatever he wants, right? He has enough material, psychological material, to manipulate that person into doing whatever he wants.
So this kind of goes back to the emotions Cristina was discussing, where now you feel like your world is imploding around you.
Yeah.
And Ioana, I want to ask, so they get to this point where they're threatening and things like this. This targets both boys and girls?
Yes, but with different end games.
Okay.
It targets girls with the end game to obtain more images. Like Catalin said, if you don't send me some more pictures, I will post everything online, which seems like a hollow threat for an adult. It will not be a hollow threat for a kid, a teenager, who has built a trust relationship with that stranger and thinks that that stranger is their friend. And on the other hand, for males,
Boys, yeah.
for boys, it will start off as send me pictures, but then it will become, if you don't give me X amount of money, if you don't give me a gift card of whatever value, if you don't give me this, I will post everything that you have sent me. Again, this is a hollow threat, but coming back to what Cristina said about emotions, they play on emotions and the kid ends up complying. They get their parents' credit card, they sell stuff around the house, and so on.
Do all these things. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about those signs that parents can watch for. I'm wondering, Cristina, I mean, you mentioned you're a parent. What are parents feeling at this point? Because now, I don't know, are the kids likely to come to you? And if they do, I mean, that would be tough news to hear, that they're trapped somehow. So what happens?
Yeah, actually, I have a personal story to tell. My daughter was kind of dragged into a first stage of sextortion. So she was invited to a group that was a group full of perpetrators, and they were sharing a lot of horrible content. I was lucky enough to find out first, but as a parent, what I felt at that moment devastated me. I just felt the world crushed over me. It was such an intense feeling, and I was trying to make sense of how I was not able to protect my daughter, even with, always being proactive, talking to them about this kind of situations, trying to prevent them going into different dark places of the internet. For me, it was a huge disappointment as a parent that I could not prevent this. And actually, I think this is kind of the first feeling most of the parents feel. But again, to all the parents out there, we as parents cannot prevent all the risks in the world, although we do want to protect our kids at a very, very strong level. But we do have a lot of other superpowers, and that is supporting them, being them with their, playing in their team and helping them get out of the situation. So coming back to your question, yeah, first, as a parent, you feel really, really, really down. But you need to get up and you need to make sure that you play together with your child in the same team and just get him out of there, making sure he's well, making sure you don't blame him, because again, it is not about them. Our kids are really, really wonderful persons. It is a whole industry, like Ioana was saying. It is a whole really bad industry of strangers and cyber criminals that are doing this on purpose. So we as a parent need to step up our game, be there with the child, support the child, making sure he transitions to the good feelings, that is safety, that is family support, and trying to explain and thoroughly go through this kind of situations, so that he's not left with emotional traces.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this really dark moment for parent and child, but the parents still have to be the parents, is what I hear you saying. Exactly. Yeah, and we just have to press in and lean in. I'm curious, so that's an important note on how we approach this with our kids, especially, I can imagine, right when you learn that support. But what about from the cybersecurity side of things? What do we do in the first few minutes to, I don't know if we end this attack, or what do we do on that side of it? Because there's the emotional side, but there's also the practical side of, we have these images that are out and there's this threat that's been made against our child. And so what should we do?
Well, in many cases you can do a lot of things. In some cases there's not much you can do besides talking with a kid and so on. Ideally would be to find out what has happened, like if there was something shared, what sort of things, like images, voice, video, and so on, to understand the level of what happened, and maybe identify the possibilities that can start from there. So obviously you have to cut access, get out of these groups, but at the same time you should also have these images, or understand what happened. So in some cases you can actually talk to police, make a complaint, but you have to be very careful with that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, you should do it, but this will involve discussions from a police officer with your child. So you have to mediate that. You have to understand that this can bring additional stress on the kid. So it's a complex procedure. But then again, this law enforcement that are acting in this particular type of policing, they know how to tackle the situation. They've been doing this for years. They're very well trained. I can share some stories with them about how they operate. And they know and they understand very well the psychological impact for the kids. So technically it should be fine to talk to the police, explain what's going on, so they can have a lead to start and so on. From a technical perspective, yes, There are technical tools that you can use from that moment, but also before, like parental control solutions and other things like that, monitoring and limiting the amount he spends on the internet, on particular platforms and so on. But this also has to be taken with a little bit of salt, because you want to be there, you want to protect your kid, but you don't want to leave the impression that he's missing out because of you. Because if you go that way, the kid will believe that you're controlling, and he'll try to deceive you to do what he wants to do. So this is also something that needs to be carefully understood by the kid. So he needs to know the parent is his friend and not the person that doesn't allow him to play this and do that and so on, because he'll try to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm not making anything easy for anybody here, right? Sorry about that.
Well, it's a complicated issue, so I can see that. Ioana, can you help us understand a little bit more about the mental health piece of this? Because it might be a moment in time that we've caught and stopped, but the damage from it continues.
Definitely. So what needs to be done is to kind of have a balance between protecting your kid from everything that can harm them and giving them enough information to understand the threat, but not enough information to break their spirit. Because something like this is very tough to digest. It's tough to digest for me, and I don't know if I would have been able to digest it with the information that I had when I was a teenager, and with the emotional structure that I had as a teenager. So yes, mental health plays a crucial role, because fear and shame and guilt, like Cristina said, are very powerful emotions. These don't just go away after you told your parent. It opens up a Pandora's box of other complex emotions that maybe you as a parent are equipped to deal with, but you still need your child to tell you what they're feeling in their own words. So I think the best advice that I could give would be is make your child feel like they didn't do anything wrong, because that's where shame and guilt stem from. I did something wrong, so I must suffer all these horrible consequences because I did something wrong and I disappointed my parents. That's what attackers bank on. That's what they're looking for. Remove that and you remove their power.
Yeah, interesting. What would you add?
Yeah, so coming back to my experience, what I did first was to, of course, focus on the logistics, making sure her device was not compromised, making sure everything was still safe, like her accounts, her passwords, and so on and so forth. Then we talked a lot about the safe space that the kids have inside the family. We even decided on a safe word as a family. And I told them, you don't have to give me any kind of details. If you feel like you need me there for something, you can use this safe word. I will not ask a question. I will just be there for you. And together we'll work it out. So I think as a parent, we have this superpower. We have this superpower of offering our children a safe place where they can be, they can react outside of this, huge emotions that the criminals are pushing on them. And of course, talking with my fellow parents in the community about it. Talking sometimes, I even called the authorities because they're on our side. There are so many institutions, just like Catalin mentioned, that are there to help you. Associations, the government are there to support you. So as a parent, you should get all the help that you need. and ensure that you move along. At the end of the day, it's not just about, I don't know, money or anything like that. It's all the impact, it's all the stress, it's all the time that you as a parent and as a family need to take to ensure that everything goes back to normal. And we always have to portray this as a lesson learned. And we are going with our kids together in this, online or offline journey. We are there to support them and offer them this safe space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that message, that if we can create that relationship where they know we're right there with them, they're not alone, and that's so key. Thank you for that, and thank you for sharing your personal experience as well. I do want to backtrack on one thing, and Catalin, I want to ask you about this, because Ioana and Cristina, you called it an industry. I mean, as a parent, I'm picturing these are like random people who maybe are just figuring out the scam, but I mean, this is big business, I guess, or what are you seeing about that space?
It's actually a bigger space than we usually imagine. So yes, there's the sort of the financial aspect where they want financial gain, and they have various modus operandi. And then you'll also have your sex offenders who just really want the content, right? And these are people that you have no idea that they're involved into such things, and they are probably among the best at personal operational security. They know how to hide themselves very well, and they are extremely paranoid because they know there are undercover cops trying to arrest them. So if you look at your regular predator, he's very aware of what your kids are learning in school, and pretty much everything kids are into these days, right? So as an undercover cop, when you're talking to these people, you will get questions such as, so what did you learn this week in history? Because they know what's being taught in school at that particular time. If you don't know the answer, it means you are police, you're not a kid. I've seen another friend of mine was sharing a situation where the pedophile asked him, okay, how tall are you? And he replied, 6 feet something. I don't know the metric system, so
yes,
bear with me.
No problem.
But the person immediately replied with, have a good day, officer, and he signed out. Because kids these days do not use the imperial metric system. They use the metric system, the meters, centimeters, right? So that was a clear indicator that this was a police officer and he was not a kid. So these guys are very paranoid, and these guys just want the content. They will take the content from you, use it for their own personal agenda, but also sell it to other people that are interested in this sort of content. Then you'll have the industry that are willing that are targeting you for financial gain. And I've seen in many, many cases, even I'm pretty sure everybody in the audience at some point received a particular mail saying, look, I am a hacker, I hacked your computer, I installed a video recording software, and I filmed you while you're watching porn. If you don't want me to distribute what movie I have, pay this amount of money. Pretty stupid, but it works. And the reason I know it works is that usually payment is involved with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency. I checked the wallets and I saw money in there. So people actually paid, right? Even it's a scam. It doesn't really exist, right? This is like the fortunate part of the situation, that content does not exist in reality. However, there are situations where the threat is real and that content actually exists. And then you have all these other things like that happen with kids, teenagers, where they also want the content, but they also want the money, or they also have tasks for these kids or teenagers to do this, do that, because they don't want to do it themselves. They want to blackmail these people into doing their own things. And sadly, we also have the situation where Ioana was mentioning at the beginning, this happens for revenge. An ex-boyfriend, girlfriend has this content which was willingly shared, and it was I don't know, it was a good thing when it happened, I don't know. But now the partner that's feeling left, betrayed, whatever, is sharing that content just to harm. Sadly, we also have these situations.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing all those things, because I wanted to underlie what's at stake. I wanted to reveal the risk that our kids are up against. I mean, that's a lot of different ways that this is coming at them. I want to ask Cristina, thoughts on protecting our kids without making them feel like they're in jail, you know, or Ioana, you said you don't want them to feel like you're not with them, you're against them, because that's exactly what the perpetrators want. So what do you suggest here?
Sure. I think we always have to be open to our kids, talk a lot, you know what I mean? And discuss about the different things that are happening. Our world is not a perfect world, and they need to know that. It is sad, but it is the truth. So talking to them a lot, ensuring they have some action items or action triggers they can take whenever they feel in danger, like, you know, this kind of safe word, creating the space that I was talking about, and ensuring they're not alone in this. I think these are the minimal things any parent should do with their kids. And of course, we need to stay vigilant. Again, internet, and I was actually talking about cybersecurity to a bunch of kids, and I asked them, what is internet? And they said, it's a real world. And this was, to me, was a great answer. And we as parents should know this as well. Internet is a real world. So we need to be vigilant. If we don't want our kids to hang out with strangers in the park, we shouldn't allow, or we should be careful if they start hanging out with strangers in the online space. So be vigilant. Try to communicate with your kid, understand what's going on there. Oh, you're playing a cool game. Oh, let's talk about it. How is it like? Who are you talking to? Oh, you have friends. Oh, that's awesome. Do you know them? Oh, what are they saying? And this kind of things. So we don't need to be spies, but we need to be transparent with our kids, and they need to be transparent with us, and we need to make this relationship work. Having all these measures in place will not exclude the risks, but will actually minimize them a lot.
Excellent. Really appreciate all those insights and ideas. And I think to close this out, I'd like to go around to each of you and ask for some closing thoughts on this topic. We've covered a lot of ground. Maybe there's some things that you want to emphasize or that haven't been said yet. So what would you leave us with, Catalin?
And I'm supposed to leave this in a positive note as well, right?
Yes, I mean, if there's something optimistic or something positive we can take from it, it would be great, yes.
Okay, I'll try. So the thing is that there are many things that you as a parent can do. And we can start with the technological things that you can do, like trying to limit in a good way the amount your child is spending online, on social media, on games, and so on. But also, I strongly encourage the parent to understand these platforms, to understand what's going on there. If there's online games your child is playing, how about playing with him, right? Be in the same game. You'll understand both the environment, but also you're also going to be a friend for the child, right? If there's social media out there, I'm pretty sure there's a huge gap between, and it's not just a difference between the ages, but also geographical. There's, in various parts of the planet, parents are on some parts of social media and the kids are on the other, right? So try to see, okay, what's my kid into? Where does he spend his online time, right? Is this game, is this social platform, do you understand that platform? Have you ever seen it? And it's not just a thing about, I heard about it, or I'm talking to the other parents about it. No, create an account, go check it out. Understand what's going on. Otherwise, your kid comes from home at 6, 7, and you're like, what is this? No, do your homework. You're the parent. You should know these things, right? I hope that was positive.
No, that was very helpful, actually. But if you can tell me what 6'7" means, that'd be even more helpful. But nobody's been able to tell me, including my kids. So anyway,
this is the homework for our audience. Understand what.
It's another conversation, exactly. Okay, Ioana, what would you leave us with that's something that can be helpful, in this situation for our parents who are watching?
So being a parent is one of the toughest things that people get to do in this lifetime. You have to balance 1,000 balls that are all in the air and somehow falling at the same time. But remember what it was like for you to be a teenager?
There was no social media to document all this.
It's not, yeah. And I'm deeply grateful there was no social media when I was a teen.
A lot of us are, yes.
But it's not the same world. Your kid doesn't have the same tools that you had. They have access to a lot more information than you did. But the emotions are the same. So I think if everyone would just take a breath when their teenage kid comes in and annoys the bejesus out of you, because they do that, and I did that, and everyone did that to their parents. Just take a breath and remember what it was like for you to all of a sudden be flooded with some emotions that you have no way to make sense out of. And do you talk to your parents? Do you not talk to your parents? What if the reaction that you get is negative? What if they pick up a fight? What if they scold you? So aside from talk to your kid, which is a great piece of advice, I would add,
listen.
Yes, really listen.
Mm-hmm. And that's been a challenge for parents forever, like you
Yes.
just pointed out. And so, yes, that's an important piece of it,
Our
though.
generation was left in front of the TV. And the TV is just one direction. The TV just gives you information. The internet, it's multi-directional.
Right. And as I've heard, the internet's a bad neighborhood, as they
Yeah.
sometimes say. So, okay, yes. What would you leave us with here today, Cristina?
I would like to say that in my region, there's an old saying, it takes a village to raise a kid. So I think it applies. You no longer have the village with you, but in this digital world, you have a lot of people by your side. You have cybersecurity experts, tools, you have associations, organizations, government that is there with you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to get everyone, the whole digital village, involved in solving any problem. And at the end of the day, you know what? Both as a kid and as a parent, when things go very wrong in the digital world, there's always the turn off button. There's always the option to go back to the safe home space, the room, the living room with your family, with your friends. Turn off the digital world when that's too much and make sure you have the safe space with your family.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. And I just want to say thank you to all three of you, Cristina, Ioana, Catalin. Thank you for sharing your expertise on this difficult topic. And this is just so important for families everywhere. And it's going to continue to be an issue, so we can't ignore it. We need to hit it head on. And so just want you to know we're going to put a link to some resources for you down in the show notes. So be sure and check those out. Share this episode with other parents so that they can be aware of what's going on, because like we say, things have changed, right? And as parents, we don't always know about risks like this. We've heard about it in the distance, but as we've heard today, it's real and it's possibly coming to our own house. So share this episode if you will. And thank you for joining us on behalf of the entire Bitdefender team. We appreciate you being with us for this episode of Cybercrime from the Frontline, and we'll see you next time.